Welcome, welcome everybody. We are going to be going live with Lee here in just a moment. I just gotta find my invite real quick. Okay, so do we invite her or does she come on? Or sorry guys, just learning how to do all this stuff. Anyway, welcome to Universal Light, Pure Love Ministries, ULPLM. We're going to have a great talk. There's Lee right there. All right, bring on camera. Oh, it just said bring on camera, honey. Oh. Okay. There we go. Hey. Getting people invited. All right. There she is. Hi. Sorry we couldn't be live. My computer, I'm going to need some new equipment, I think.
It's also acting crazy because Facebook is changing all their stuff so quickly because they're in so much trouble with Congress, and they're not letting all of the different apps that are attached to them catch up as quickly as they need to. So they're like changing things just as quickly.
Right? Yep.
As they're trying to catch up. So our little computers are not going to catch up as quickly either. So maybe it'll slow down once they're not in so much hot water. We'll have to see what happens with Facebook.
Yeah, well, the way I'm seeing it, it's slowly kind of diving out. A lot of people are exiting and just going other places. And because, this isn't the first time our friendly Zuckerberg has had problems with taking our data. So.
This is very true. He actually was supposed to pay like billions in reparations. I think it was in 2014 or something like that, or 2011. And I don't think he did anything.
Yep. Nope, they didn't. No, they figured we, the people, were still using it so they could just keep on doing it,
Right. True.
So, yeah, so a lot of people have been. They've been exiting. I'm over there on MeWe, and I tell you what, it's growing like crazy over there. So.
I got your info about that. Teresa said we should join. Yeah. You should just fill it out. I'm like, I don't even know what it is. I got one for Steam also. Yeah. And the first thing they told me to do was to put in my profile post, but I had to have, it had to be not a picture, but it had to be a web page address for the picture. I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. And over there, you can earn money for all your posts, but it's Bitcoin money and blockchain money. And I'm like, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, forget it.
Yeah. I haven't done the Steam it yet. I'm working on it. I know I need to get over there because, it's building over there too. But oh yeah, I haven't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all the changes, all the different things. There's a lot of really great awesomeness to the other sites, but yeah, they can be quite confusing.
Right. Absolutely.
Because that's the one thing about Facebook.
But anything to get the message out, right?
Exactly. Well, see, Facebook has made everything so simple and everything's just right attached to it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, when you're kind of having to remember that convenience is what we're kind of paying for with our data being stolen and all that other stuff.
Exactly. It's a trade-off. Yeah. It's a trade-off. Yeah.
Yep. But anyway.
Yeah. And they listen to everything.
Yeah. Let's talk about you, my lady.
Well, if you insist, Norma.
Yes, I do.
Wait a minute, do I keep freezing? I keep freezing. That's okay. You guys can just look at a still picture of me. I'll just, it'll be like I'm modeling. We'll just go through the poses.
You go.
Well, I'm excited to chat with you because all this time we've known each other on Facebook for like a year.
Right.
And I've come in and like gotten a reading from you on your shows. And we've messaged back and forth about 100 times. Right. The same thing with Aaron. I've gotten readings from him on the show. You always support me. You always support Teresa. You've been in our shows. You've come on and gotten a reading from me and Crystal before. You've had Crystal, my mama bear, on your show before. But you and I have never spoken face to face. So I love it.
It's about
nice
time,
to have you speaking to me. Yeah. Yes, it makes me super happy.
Oh yes,
so
me too.
Super excited.
Me too. So let's talk a little bit about like how do I want to word this? I want to say your service, but it's not necessarily your service, but like your offerings, your books and art and music and such like that.
All right. Well, I'll start kind of at the beginning of my awakening, but it won't be like a big long thing. So yeah, I'll walk the catwalk. That's That's right. If you see me do a death drop, run down the catwalk and pick me up because it was not on purpose, okay? Um, I lived my life like a normal life. I was not religious. I was the girl who argued with Jehovah's Witnesses when they came to the door. Um, I believed in a higher power, but I thought to myself, who am I, a mere mortal, to choose what religion is right? I just believed, try to be a good person and just kind of, go through your life. But I was sad on the inside. I was miserable. I put on my face every day and I did what I had to do. But on the inside, I hated myself. I said F you to myself in the mirror every day. I felt like I had the life that I deserved because I must be a terrible person. And I just trudged through life with the bare minimums, believing that that's what I deserved. And I deserved way worse in my head. I had a constant chorus of horrible, vile things. And so no matter what people said to me, there was nothing that they said to me that I hadn't already said to myself, and 100 times worse, right? And many of us live in that place of a constant version of our own hell all the time, right? So I kind of like just lived in that place, and I was bartender. I was a bartender at a nudist resort. That's a whole other story. But I was a bartender at a nudist resort. Hi, Brian. Hi to everyone who's watching, by the way. So Brian knows me in real life, you guys, just to let you know, like in person in real life, in my old life. So I was flipping through channels. It's early in the morning. Hi, Andy. I just did an interview with Andy on his page. I'll make sure that I post it on my page. Um, I was flipping through channels and I kept seeing this woman who had this crazy voice with this weird accent, and she looked insane looking, but she sounded like she was talking to me about problems that you're having and what you can do and all this kind of stuff. And I would be like, wow, this is amazing. She's talking to me. But then she would say Jesus, and I'd go, nope, she's not. And I would change the channel. Because I'm on my way to Dog the Bounty Hunter at 7:30 in the morning because I just drove the kids to school and I'm going back to sleep because I was up until 2:30 in the morning after bartending all night, right? So this would happen morning after morning after morning, right? And every day I would watch a little bit more. Hi, Janaea. I would watch a little more and a little more and a little more. And finally, she said something that like struck me, and it was like, you can step out on the promises of God. God. This was at the very beginning. So I was like, all right, fine. You know what? I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to hate myself. I don't want to feel this way. I like people. I work in the service industry. I've worked in the service industry for 20 something years. I like people. I want to help, and I don't want to feel this way anymore. And I'll do anything. I want to love and I want to serve and anything. And I got through my entire body like a lightning bolt, this tingling, this golden light. Mama Bear telling me, send me the link to what you're doing. Sorry, y'all. This amazing tingling feeling all the way through my body. And I didn't know what the hell it was, but I knew that I had never felt love like that. It was the purest feeling I'd ever felt. I'd never felt love like that from a parent, from a lover, from my own children, I didn't even know that existed. And I thought that it was only like 30 seconds worth. And I thought to myself, was that real? First of all. And then I thought, I will do anything to feel that again. And if this is what service to the universe, to God, to whatever will bring me, I'm in. And I started hearing voices. And of course, you question yourself. And I'm sure anyone who's in the awakening, and if you're here, you're in the awakening, and you hear those voices and you get those downloads, you start questioning yourself. And they downloaded an entire book to me. And every time I would ask, why am I writing this down? They would tell me, just shut up and write. And so I wrote an entire book, and they said to me, it's Unleash Your Light. You're going to call yourself Li Cara, which is a shortened version of my government name. It's not like it's not me. I already went by Lee. My name is Lisa, but I already went by Lee, and it's just a shortened version of my last name. They said that's like a gender neutral name. People aren't going to be taken aback seeing the name Li Cara. They're not going to, go, oh, that's a girl, I'm not going to listen. Oh, that's a man, I'm not going to listen. And the message that I got is that my children are falling through the cracks, and religion is dividing rather than uniting. and shut up and write. And it's unleash your light. And when you clear away the emotional obstacles that our human lives put on us, then you can fully connect with the energy of God, whatever you like to call that energy of the universe. You can fully connect with that's already inside of us, that divine being that dwells within us. Now, at the time, I didn't understand any of that. It said to me, you're an empath, and you can see the obstacle that is in someone immediately upon having a conversation with them. You see what they need to do right away to clear out that obstacle. And I was like, what's an empath? I didn't know what it was. That's how far out of the loop that I was. I didn't even know what an empath was. I had to look it up. I literally Googled. I went on the Google. This was in 2012. I went on the Google and I looked it up so that I could, yes, I'm an old lady, so that I could figure out what the hell an empath was. And I like learned, and it was an entire process of me questioning constantly. And I had a friend that I finally opened up to and asked her about it. And hi, Sharon. Hi, Amy. And I said to her, what the hell is going on? And she said, look, she gave me the best advice I ever got. She said, you need to just accept this. She says, a spoon does not question why it's lifting food to the mouth.
Right.
You are like the tool that is being used by the universe. Just accept the message, accept the gift, and do what you're told, and shut up. Just speak what they tell you to speak and do what they tell you to do and just keep on going. And the more that I did that, and the more that I did the steps, they downloaded this little short book, Unleash Your Light. You can get it for free on my website. There's no charge. You don't even have to put in your email address. And it's just like 6 steps of simple stuff that's a commonality in almost every belief system. It's you're not alone. Be nice to yourself and others. Forgive yourself and others. Ignore your feelings, like those primal feelings that are created from the human life. Set your mind and have faith. And it's just simple stuff that you can do no matter what your belief system is, that allows you to clean away the yucky stuff that builds up from a human life that we hold on to so tightly, thinking that that's who we are, thinking that those experiences are who we are. Those experiences are not who you are. They are helping you to become who you are. The experiences are not who you are. And yet that's what we hold on to, is the yucky stuff. We don't hold on to the beautiful lesson behind it. So going through this entire thing has then they're like, okay, start speaking. And I came across Todd Medina on the internet, and he put me onto Sology. And so now for a year, I've been speaking twice a week on Sology, and that's how I found you guys. And you always share my videos, and I appreciate it so much. And I've expanded exponentially since connecting in that way, and with all of these people who have broadened my horizons. And I think the biggest thing is to have that open mind. And Teresa and I have talked about this many times, is about when you're on this path of awakening, it is beautiful to explore many different paths. And the whole point is to have an open mind, because I think that all of us get little pieces of the bigger picture. And as you go through, you can pick up a little piece here and a little piece there and a little piece there. I talked about this on the show the other day. I like to cherry pick. And some people think, oh, you shouldn't cherry pick. The entire pie is what's good. No. Take 2 or 3 cherries out of this pie and a couple peaches from that one, and scoop the chocolate off the top of this one, and I'm going to take a little bit of sprinkles off that one. Everybody has good information. Everybody has a little bit to learn from. Everybody's got something good. And the thing that you posted today about being human, the one thing that we all share, no matter what your belief system is, no matter what path you're following, no matter what you're studying, whether you're a shaman or sacred geometry or doing cards or, paganism or witch or whatever it is that at the end of the day, we are all human right now. We are all incarnated in a human body. And we have to come back to this human body, whether you're traveling astrally or doing rituals or incantations or invocations or spells or whatever you're doing. And when you come back to this human body, it still holds all the pain and all the suffering and all the junk. So no matter how amazing all that other stuff you're doing is, if you haven't worked on the human
Yep.
stuff, it will all be undone as quick as you can do this.
Yep.
And that's why I
Uh-oh. Oh, shoot.
Go find her again.
Yeah, I'm going to find her. We'll get her back. Sorry, guys. Right in the middle of a sentence, too. All right, let's see. We can't find her again. Oh, what button did I push again? This one, right? Yes.
Little people button. Let me just have to search for her.
Hello, Debbie, Sharon, Erica. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. We're going to finish this awesome convo. There she is. All right. Here we go. My hair is kind of got my hair looking terrible. Sorry, guys.
I'm back.
There we go. Yay.
I'm back. So I was saying that about being human and coming back into the human, and no matter how amazing all that other stuff is, you're coming back, and it's all going to be undone.
Right.
All of your human stuff. And some people will look at the simple work that I do. I have a running theme in everything I talk about. And the people that watch me know it's always the same thing. I talk about forgiveness, I talk about empathy, and I talk about loving yourself unconditionally.
Yep.
And I believe that is, it's not me believing it. They tell me this. I'm not this smart. It's them like talking through me or whatever. But it's when you love yourself unconditionally, it's you fully accepting your own divinity. And the more that you can fully accept your own divinity, the more easily it can guide you. The more easily your path is shown to you. The more you will see and hear and be able to really feel and touch the universe and your purpose and other people, and be guided to what you're supposed to be doing in this awakening. Because if you're awake, you've got a purpose.
Yep. That's right. That's beautiful. Yes, that's.
Thank you.
and that's exactly right, though. And that seems to be really a lot of people's biggest struggle, is that true, unconditional love of themselves.
Right.
We tend to forget that no matter how old we are, how long we've been incarnated this time, we're still children. We still are learning. We are still exploring. We still don't know everything. And if we can treat ourselves like that child that is growing, it becomes that much easier to remember how divine and love-filled and innocent, truly, most of us are. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. One of the things I say is never say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to a child.
Right.
And never say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to a divine being standing in front of you.
Right.
And why? Because you are both of those things.
Right.
You are both of those things. So why would you ever, if you're a Christian, you would never say to Jesus, you're a fat, ugly cow.
Right.
And yet there are many of us that say that to ourselves every day.
Yep.
You would never say you're a loser because you're not making money. You would never say you're a failure. You would never say you don't deserve to be loved to a child.
Right.
And yet we will say that to ourselves, and we will believe it so much so that we will sabotage every relationship that we have.
Yep.
Subconsciously sometimes.
Yep.
We will punish ourselves if we've done something that we didn't get punished for by someone else.
Right.
It's the most absolutely fascinating mechanism that we have, is this mechanism of punishment that has been taught to us through society. And through, if there are people who believe, because we live over and over again, that it's this generations and generations and generations of reward and punishment that are almost in our DNA that we do. And in the very words, unconditional, it's without conditions.
Right.
Which means it doesn't matter what you've done.
Right.
Or what you've said. You love yourself anyways. And when you can love yourself in the darkest moment of your the worst things you've done, that is where your deepest healing is going to be. That's where your transformations take place.
Right. Yep, I agree.
And it's hard. It's not easy. It's hard.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And especially when you really do that true accountability and you're willing to look at those things that you were blaming on others and go, well, I kind of did this. And being able to really look at yourself and say, okay, and not dwell in it and not punish yourself over it, but recognize it and learn from it.
Right. Yeah, because you have to call yourself out,
Yeah.
but you have to call yourself out without judgment,
Right.
which is a very hard thing to do because a lot of our judgments will come from being judged
Yep.
as children,
Yeah.
by friends, by, society. We use the things around us
Yeah.
to judge ourselves as a measuring. Um, you wrote something today about I am more than what you think I am.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that I say I am more than,
Yeah.
but I don't use what other people think
Right.
to cap how I feel anymore. Like it's a validation thing. To me, if I'm going to let someone else determine my worth, now I have a cap on how much I'm worth because I can only be worth what they think I'm worth.
Right.
But if I'm the one determining my worth and I know that I house an infinite being,
Yeah.
then my worth is infinite.
That's right.
And so it more is an infinite, never-ending loop of my potential.
Yep. Yep. That is very good. And yes, I do. I tend
It's a hard thing.
I do tend to put those caps on myself. I notice when I get my little upset flares, I'm fire. So sometimes it's those small things and
Well, because it's personal.
yeah.
Because when we write things like that, we're thinking about a
Yeah.
particular person who
Uh-huh.
has underestimated us.
Yep.
And those relationships that we have with people are what creates those limitations in our mind that we allow,
Yep.
that we're overcoming, right? Those are the obstacles that we're overcoming. And so, of course, we have that in our mind when we're doing that. And it's a process of stepping over those obstacles where the next step is, I'm over that and you're not holding me down now. So now it's me that I'm overcoming. Now I'm the next obstacle to overcome, to allow my own love of self to be that infinite place. And everybody struggles with it. And I mean, it takes a very long time. Like when I started out on this, like I said, I used to say F you in the mirror to myself every day. Every time I passed a mirror, every single time, I didn't even need a mirror. Like it was a constant berating in my head. And it literally, it is reprogramming. It is deprogramming, like the brainwashing of the government, like the conditioning of the matrix, however you want to think of it. It is literally reprogramming the way that your mind has been wired by everything around you. Because what happens is we pick up these things that other people have said, and it may not even be something that was meant for your ears.
Right.
It could not even be something that was even meant for you. It might have just been two adults saying something ain't right with that kid and laughing.
Right.
When you were 4 years old, and now your brain says, something ain't right with that kid.
Right.
And now you will create a circle of evidence that supports something ain't right with that kid.
Yeah.
And everything that happens from that point forward, not only will your circle of evidence support it, but you will start behaving as if something ain't right with that kid. And you will act out because there's something not right with you. And it will create an entire path for you just from an overheard comment that you didn't understand because you were a 4-year-old.
Yep.
And it will create a whole life path. And we don't even and now we're grown, but we're still acting as if something ain't right with us.
Right.
But that's if we start to do that, where we undo that, if we start to unprogram, deprogram that, where we go, no, something is right with me. I am more than. I am in the right. I have infinite power. I am love. Whatever it is that you need to say. What I used to do is anytime, and I still do it, anytime I say something that's negative, anytime I catch myself going, oh my God, I'm so stupid, I go, no, it was just a mistake. I say the opposite. I say the exact opposite of whatever I've said to myself. And I find that that's almost like just flipping it backwards is enough to snap me out of that.
Yeah.
but it takes a lot. It takes a lot. And it's a constant, you have to pay attention.
Yes.
It's self-awareness.
Yep.
And that's one of the most important things. That's actually tomorrow morning I do Unleash Your Light on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. So tomorrow morning I'm on the Akashic Academy, and that's my show tomorrow morning is Set Your Mind, because that's one of the steps in the Unleash Your Light. I've only been on the Akashic Academy for I think like 6 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
So setting your mind is, and with this new moon, it's all about breaking the patterns and paying attention to the things that we say to ourselves, because a lot of us go through life on autopilot.
Yep.
And we just kind of let our mind think whatever it wants to think.
Mm-hmm.
And people will use that as an excuse to say, well, that's just how I am.
Yeah.
Well, that's just that's just my brain. Those are just my feelings. That's just how I feel. No, it's not just how you feel. That's how your pain feels.
Right.
That's how your suffering feels. That may not be how you actually feel.
Right.
And you have to really pay attention to that sort of thing, and really not allow those rage feelings, those pain feelings to be what controls your reactions and the words that you say in your life.
Right.
Otherwise, you might regret what pops out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And you could be creating for someone else the same thing that was created for you. And we know better, don't we? Because we're in the awakening. So we don't ever want to cause pain to someone else, even if it feels good for a moment, to make someone else hurt a little bit, right?
Right.
I mean, sometimes it feels good to kind of go, well, I hurt, so I'm going to make you hurt too. Right. So F you, and you're an asshole. And that feels good for a minute, right? But then you kind of go, oh God, now I made them feel bad. And I don't really want to make them feel bad, even though they made me feel bad. And I probably shouldn't have said that, even if they are an asshole. And maybe I should have, So we don't want to do that, though. We want to pay attention to that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Be conscious of our unconscious. Pay attention to why, for me, it's been like, why do I, certain things would come up and wait, why am I doing that? What is triggering every time this happens? I do this. Why? And so, because if I don't know why, then I don't really get down to that root as to what caused that behavior or that feeling or that in the first place.
Absolutely.
And because I found there were things that were getting to me that were from a way young age that really had more to do with the other person than they had to do with me. And as an adult, I can look back on it and very logically go, well, there was no reason to really feel that way. But for years and years and years, I had felt that way on this thing that I didn't realize was actually causing it. And then it was kind of causing behaviors that I'm still working on. If I don't feel like I'm being listened to, I get very dramatic. If you couldn't tell, I'm very dramatic in the way I speak, because they're not listening. So it's like a habit that I've formed to get loud or theatrical, or even if you're listening, like you're not listening,
And you're not being heard.
Yeah.
It's about hearing. You want them to hear you.
Yes.
You want them to hear, even if they're listening, you feel like they're not hearing you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally get that. And that's that analogy you used about roots is actually the second book that I did is about the simple spirituality of the self, is all about unconditional love of the self. Also free. You can get it at my website, unleashyourlight.org. You don't have to put in your email address. It's only like 45 pages long. But it talks about how a simple root like that, like you not being heard as a child, will grow hundreds of vines and infiltrate hundreds of different areas of your life.
Yep.
And being self-aware, just like you're talking about, is chasing each one of those vines down. Yeah. And if you cut a vine off at the surface, it grows back. Yep. But if you dig down the vine to where the root is and you can yank the root out, then it's gone.
Right.
And I always say you got to be like Scooby and the gang. And you really have to be like you're a detective, and you have to search these things out and figure out where they're coming from and dig them out, and you love them. And I talk about the time travel method in there that I talk about on the show. I know you've watched the show where I talk about it. And I always say the time travel method is 3 parts, and it's you have to forgive the person who planted that root and said that thing or made you feel that way.
Yeah.
You comfort that little child, and you give them all the love and all the, the attention
Yeah.
that they didn't get. You hear them in your, you would hear what they wanted to say. But then the third part is you have to turn to yourself, the one who has been growing these vines and allowing these vines to infiltrate, and say, I forgive you for allowing these vines to take over our life. Because a lot of people miss that step and they will beat themselves up for allowing that to take over, because those vines can destroy relationships.
Yep.
They can destroy friendships. They can literally tear you down for 10, 20, 30, 40. They can tear you down for a lifetime if you never figure out where the root is.
Right.
And we'll beat ourselves up for that, because we'll look back and go, I really messed up, you know? And if you don't let go of that and forgive yourself for that, now you're carrying another burden. Now you're creating another root that will grow you more vines, that will create more punishment, you know, and you're carrying guilt. And one of the things I say is that if you're carrying around your guilt, you can't catch your blessings.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
We're not meant to carry guilt. We're not meant to carry our sins. We're not meant to carry sins. We're not meant to carry our guilt around. We're not meant to carry our sins. This is why all of these different religious mythologies, or what they have, these mechanisms built in to let go of our sins, whether it's Christ on the cross or the Day of Atonement or Ramadan or whatever it is, where you let go of your sins, or you ask for forgiveness, or you say a million Hail Marys and rub your rosary beads, whatever it is, so that you don't have to carry those things. They tried over and over again in different mythologies to get us to forgive ourselves, to get us to be forgiven and to move on and to let go of that. You know, the light has been speaking to us for eons, for generations, trying to get us to embrace unconditional love, which is the running theme in every religion, basically, embracing that love of self and love for others.
Yep. Yes, that's true. Every religion does try to get us, but that, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, get confused by that, though. They feel like because they've got this option, they need to have something take it from them, as opposed to understanding it's really about you just forgiving yourself, just releasing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, excuse me.
It's okay. It's one of the confusing things that happens in our communities as well, in spirituality, because there are so many options to follow that offer external answers.
Yeah.
Light this, burn this, hold this crystal, say these words, you know, tune into this meditation, do this, do that. Like, all the answers are out there. And yes, they tell you to listen to this and listen to that. But like I said, we all come back to the human.
Yep.
And no matter what you're doing and all those things, if you come back to the human and you're hating the human that you are, none of those things are going to have the desired effect. They might stick for a day or two. They might even stick for a week or two.
Right.
But like a rubber band, you're going to pull right back into your old paradigm, your own ways. I talked about this on Tuesday with the new moon, that the new moon was about breaking old patterns and old paradigms, but it doesn't do you any good if you're going to go right back into your human self and live exactly the same way that you were living before.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, real change takes time and effort, and in this fast-paced world, people are looking for that instant medicine, that instant cure, that instant change, and none of it comes all that quickly. It takes time, and it takes, I mean, real awareness, really paying attention to what it is that you're doing, and it can seem really daunting and difficult at first, obviously, because it can be very difficult, but it comes easier and easier. And then you start to notice more and more of the things that you're doing or saying. And it brings you so into your moment that it has a magic all its own, simply paying attention to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It does start out, and we keep saying how hard it is. It starts out really hard. It does. But as you go along, it gets easier and easier. It's like a muscle.
Right.
It's like a muscle. When you first start working out, it hurts like hell and everything is sore and you feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. It hurts, but it works like a muscle, and it will start to get easier and easier. And I even say that about your heart. You know, your heart is a muscle. And when it breaks, when it hurts, even when you work a muscle, it's about ripping the muscle open and then new muscle grows in between. So it gets bigger, right? And that's what's happening figuratively with your heart, right? Because even though it's hurting to go into those places that seem dark, I don't like to label them dark because we find our biggest transformation in the darkest corners.
That's right.
But when we go into those places and it feels like we're ripping our hearts apart, we're actually expanding them in such a beautiful way. And I always find it a weird thing, like an MC Escher painting, that we have to go so deep within to expand so wide outwards. It really is like an MC Escher painting. If you know who that is, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, look up MC Escher, because he does these weird things where it looks like you're walking down a staircase, but then you look at it again and it really looks like they're walking up a staircase. He does all these line drawings that are like optical illusions.
Perception
so they're really
drawings.
Fascinating.
Oh,
yes, and it's really fascinating to look at some of his stuff. So it's very it has that duality of doing one thing and another thing at the same time.
Right.
So it's very like a Mobius strip, where it's always in a constant cycle of doing both things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, Reiny, it definitely does get easier. Reiny is an amazing artist. He does a lot of digital work. I follow him on Instagram.
Ooh,
and creates out of wood and stuff like that. I just noticed him on there. Welcome.
Nice.
I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
And he does a lot of stuff about the same thing we're talking about unconditional love. And I've heard you speak often about people say you can't love other people if you don't love yourself. And I agree with you that that's not true.
Right.
You can love other people if you don't love yourself, but it's a lot harder to accept love.
Right.
If you don't love yourself. And that's where the problem comes in, because if you don't love yourself, then you don't know how to truly receive love, because you don't think that you're worthy of that love if you don't love yourself. Right. And what happens is, because you don't believe that you are worthy of that love, you will always have a wall up. And the person who is trying to love you, even if they aren't, okay, if they're a person who is aware, they will feel that wall.
Right.
And even if they're a person who's not fully aware, they're going to feel lack.
Right.
They're going to feel slightly unloved. They're going to feel separate from you.
Right.
And it's going to create division.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel like you're worthy, oftentimes you will also sabotage in ways. You will look for things wrong where there isn't something wrong. You will create problems where there aren't problems, because you don't think that you deserve this person in your life.
Right.
And so you can easily push love outwards, because you understand what unconditional love is. You understand love, and you want to give love, and you want to be in that place. But sharing love with another person, where it goes outwards and comes inwards, is a much different type of a situation, because to share love, you have to be vulnerable in a way, and you have to believe that you are worthy of accepting that love.
Right.
It puts you in a very different type of a mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yeah, because it's easy to share love and hate yourself. It's accepting that and being, in a back and forth, like an actual relationship. Because you put up those walls and those guards, and unless you have someone very, very patient, they can only be pushed away so much before they're just going to go away.
Right.
And
they may not even know why, because you can be loving. It's not that you don't love them, because you love them madly. It's not that you don't feel love, and you may feel loved, but they may not feel it as much. They will feel something that's not quite right.
Right.
And sometimes it sends them away. Sometimes it just creates a coldness there, that little crack that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Sometimes with our family, even sometimes with our friendships, it can happen, because we don't believe that we deserve that. And what happens is, we have a belief that we don't deserve it, so we create a self-fulfilling script.
Yep.
Because we have created a division that grows. Now they're proving to us
Yeah.
that they were never our friends in the first place,
Right.
because we didn't deserve that, because we shouldn't have friends like that anyways.
Right.
And so because we were pushing them away but not realizing it,
Yeah.
now they're doing exactly what we thought they should do in the first place. They're
Right.
better off without me anyways. And then exactly what we already expected to happen, everybody leaves me because I'm a piece of shit.
Right.
Sorry to curse on your beautiful
Oh, no,
channel,
it's okay.
but
I do it myself
everybody
sometimes.
leaves me. Everybody leaves me because of who I am. You create a self-fulfilling prophecy by believing that, by behaving as if that's going to happen. And the people around you, whether you say it out loud or not, will fulfill
Yep.
that belief.
Yep.
Even if it takes 20 years.
Right.
It eventually, if you believe it for 20 years, it might be a drop at a time, but
Yep.
eventually the bucket gets full.
Right.
And it happens.
Yep.
You know, it happens.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
it's a sad thing because there's still love there.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's still love there. They still want to love you, and you still want to be loved by them.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's amazing what we cause. And I've actually been talking to someone recently about this. And, you know, even just calling yourself slow. If you're constantly, well, I'm slow. Well, I'm slow. And so that's why this and that's why that. Then that's what you're drawing into you. You're going to draw into you those that think you're slow, or those that you feel like are treating you like you're slow, or you're just going to keep creating that for yourself the more you sit in that. And yeah, getting people to understand how to switch the mindset is very easy, but very difficult sometimes.
It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
Because it's all about, we had a therapist once. I had a therapist once. I loved her, but I used to call her Dr. Cuckoo. I used to call her Dr. Cuckoo because she was like, she had this crazy head of curly hair, and she would say all these beautiful hippie things, and I just thought it was the most wonderful thing. And she would say, what is the most loving thing you could say to yourself right now? And I just thought that was the most beautiful phrase. And at times during my marriage, I would say to him when he was in one of those states, I would say, is that the most loving thing you could say to yourself? And it's kind of like a running joke, but it always would snap him back to like reality, where he would be out of that, writing those stories of failure. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
But it's a constant. Loving yourself unconditionally is being in that thought all the time of what is the most loving thing that I can say to myself right now.
Right.
And saying, well, I'm stupid, so I'm not going to get this, is not the most loving thing you can say to yourself. Saying, this might take me a little longer to learn, that's a fact.
Yep.
But there's no judgment in that.
Right.
See?
Yep.
But when you use a term like I'm stupid or I'm slow or I'm never going to get that, those have judgment attached.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of shifting our perspective on the way that we say things to ourselves and being super aware of it. And it's a lifetime of habits of the things we've said to ourselves. And I would bet you 10 to 1 that at some point in kindergarten or first grade, somebody said to you, you're slow, you're never going to get this, because you were trying to add 1 and 1.
Yep.
And it created a memory for you that's how I refer to myself when I don't get something.
Yep.
And it's something as simple as that will stick in our minds and create a recording that we will repeat to ourselves through our entire lifetime. And it sounds ridiculously stupid to look at something that simple and think that that's enough to hold us back.
Yeah.
But shifting something small like that cleans off a little of the yucky stuff that's on our beautiful spirit, our beautiful golden spirit. And the more of that we clear off, the more connected we are to that beautiful divine light. Right? And the clearer that we're going to hear that voice, the better the readings come out, the more clear we hear the purpose, the more clear we hear the voices, the more we get the downloads, the more we're on the path, the more connected we are to the collective. You know, when everyone has those days where everything seems to go right.
Yeah.
right? Everything seems right. And we're feeling like they call it in sports, you're in the zone, right?
Yep.
There
Yep.
are those athletes that are able to get themselves in the zone. Everybody can understand that because that's a term that's been used for 20, 30, 40,
Right.
50 years in sports.
Yep.
In the zone. That's what you do when you clean off all the yucky stuff from that human life that we've lived. So you get yourself in the zone. When you're in the zone, everything rolls in your life the way it's supposed to. That introduction to that person who's going to get this for you just rolls right in front of you. You didn't even have to try. It just flows.
Yeah.
That parking spot that you need near the front, like me, I walk with a cane. So I always want to park next to the thing with the carts. So I just already have that in my mind. There's going to be a parking spot right next to where I need it, and boom, there's the parking spot. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
all these things. I'm gonna pop on, like with you guys. They're saying to me, you need to get out on more shows than just what you're doing. And I pop on your show and say, hey, I'm around for an interview anytime. And literally, you guys messaged me right away, and here I am.
Yep.
You know, and the thing with Andy, who was in at the beginning of the show, he popped onto one of my shows because they're saying to me, you need to expand past Sology. And the woman from the Akashic Academy, we ended up connecting. What I'm supposed to be doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I just keep trudging along and doing what I'm told and doing my work. And I find that the more of this yucky stuff that I've been carrying around, the more that I clean off, the more these connections and synchronicities start happening. The more of my path is clearly laid out like glow in the dark rocks in front of me.
Yep.
And I just keep stepping on the rocks and doing what I'm told. And I am the spoon. My friend Jody that told me that, she wrote it down on a piece of paper. You are the spoon,
There you
with
go.
big exclamation points. And I keep it in my purse. I literally keep it in my purse so that I can remember not to question what they're telling me to do.
Right.
And to just do it. And the less that I question and the more that I allow things to just flow and the more that I embrace myself.
Right.
Because I'm in a spot now where I'm defining myself for myself.
Right.
And I got that from a Spike Lee movie, She's Gotta Have It. And there was a series on Netflix, and it has a lot of sex in it, this show.
Right.
So if y'all go looking for it, be aware. But it's about this woman who is going through this self-discovery. And at first she's defined by the men that she's with.
Right.
And by the end of the show, by the end of the series, she realizes that she cannot allow these men and society and the world and her parents and her friends to define who she is as a person, that she is defining herself for herself.
Yeah.
And I am defining myself for myself, but what I am using to define myself is the mission
Right.
that I am given and what I'm being told to do. And the more that I align myself with that energy of unconditional love, the more right the world goes for me.
Yeah.
Scuffle.
Yeah, I got the puppies going a little bit, but yeah,
Do you find that when you have those days that you're in the zone that things really start to
it just, yeah,
like
things
click?
tend to just flow for you, and it just, yeah, happens nice and easy, and we tend to, I think, forget that all too easily as well, just how easily things can flow when we allow ourselves to just do what it is that we need to do, and listen to that inner guidance, and yeah, not question ourselves so much. I mean, questioning is good. I always say question everything. But when it's coming from yourself and you can feel it, a lot of us tend to, oh, well, and then we doubt it. We shove it off to the side, or we say, no, that couldn't be. And that's really when we need to really have that faith and that belief in ourselves and what it is that's coming through to us.
Right, true. I have a friend who, his name is Flynn. Mama Bear met Flynn. And one of the things that he gets a lot is be not involved in any dramas, even your own.
Right.
Be still. And that's the voice that comes through to him. And because we tend to get caught up in our own soap operas.
Yes.
And we tend to get caught up in the soap operas around us, because especially as people in the awakening, we feel like we're healers.
Right.
And we feel like we want to heal everyone around us. We know what's right for them. We want to fix them. And we also feel like we want to fix all the injustices that are going on around us. Yeah. And it's very hard sometimes, especially with people that we love, to just allow them to go through their own BS
Yep.
Even when we want to take them by the shoulders and shake them like
Shake them
hell
just a
and say,
little
what
bit.
the hell are you doing? Because you are messing up, especially when we know exactly what they need to do, especially when people like you and people like Aaron and people like me, we see a little more, a little further down the road.
Yep.
We see their blockages, or we have a little picture of their future, or we get a little flash of the wrong step, and then we see them take that wrong step off the cliff.
Yep.
And I'm at that point with some people in my life, and it's like having grown children. I have a 28-year-old, I have a 26-year-old, I have a 14-year-old. And you have to watch them step off the cliff and then meet them at the bottom and say, I still love you.
Yep.
Even though you stepped off the cliff, let me hold your hand
Yep.
and love you as you help yourself up.
Yep.
And it's the hardest thing to say I love you to them before they step off the cliff.
Yeah.
I love you even though you're going to step off a cliff.
Yep.
And I love you now that you're at the bottom with 2 broken legs and a broken arm.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to let them make a choice that you know is going to hurt them.
Yep.
I love you too, Mama Bear.
Yeah, that can be really hard for a lot of people, watching their children. And you know, I get it. I've watched my children jump off plenty of cliffs. And it does suck, especially when you see it coming. But yeah, it really is kind of important to, you know,
Sometimes
say your
that
piece,
cliff
give them
is
your
right off
advice,
the
whatever,
path.
and then, yep, love them through their experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a hard lesson, especially as a healer, especially as a person who sees. And we always think, see, like my kids, they don't watch my shows, but I think my son was in one of my shows. Now he'll let me give him advice. He doesn't take it usually, but I'll tell you what, he can spout it off at somebody else in a second. He's real good at that. All of his friends come to him for advice, but he doesn't take it himself.
Yeah.
My daughter, she never watches a show. She could care less. She doesn't want my advice. She's the most independent person I know. She is nothing like me except that she is sunshine about 80% of the time, but you do not want to catch her that other 20% of the time, because she will flip on you. And she's also a bartender at a dive bar, and she will flip on you and show you the other side of that coin real quick. She is funny. She is so funny.
That's awesome.
But like, you know, you have to allow people to walk their path. And you can't, and this is something, I'm right in the middle of this, maybe not the middle, I'm almost at the end of learning, like of really getting this lesson in my own personal life, in my own transformation. I feel like I'm probably 78% there, you know, of allowing people to make their own mistakes, to be able to say what I think is going on without judgment, and then allowing and saying, I support you, even if I disagree with you, and then being there to comfort them when whatever they chose was the opposite of what I told them to do, without the I told you so dance, which if you watch Will and Grace, you know what the I told you so dance is, without doing that, and just being non-judgmental and just being there for them. Because sometimes people don't want you to fix it. They just want you to be there. And that's part of unconditional love, is loving people even when they choose to not do what you want them to do, or to not be what you want them to be. Sometimes our love as healers hurts people because it makes them feel like they're failing.
It puts off a sense of expectation, or a sense of that judgment. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think we all.
So it's a very fine line.
We did.
And we do that to ourselves. Because we, as people who are in the awakening, will put a much higher level of expectation on ourselves, thinking we should be better than the regular person. We should already know this. We should already have this down pat. But you know what? I'm human. Hello. I mess up all the time. I laid in bed last night and wrote and rewrote a scenario in my head for an hour and a half before I went to bed. And I woke up this morning and apologized to myself and my guides all the way home from dropping my son off. I'm sorry that I spent so much time focused on a scenario that probably won't happen. And even if it does happen, I'm not going to say the things that I talked about last night in this stupid scenario that I spent so much time on. Like, I'm sorry that I spent so much time on that, but you know what? I forgive myself for it. And the things I had to say, maybe I needed to get those out.
Yep.
And now they're out, and I feel much better, and I see the situation from a different side now. And that's really not, it was a good energy that I created in saying those things. And now at least I have that energy and that thought in my head. And now I can move forward and be okay when this situation actually comes down, that we're actually in that situation. And I'll use that for positive instead of in the way of me like sticking in that little story that I was redoing and redoing and redoing in my head. You know, like we're human and we do this kind of stuff and we get stuck and snap at people or yell at the cashier or, you know, get mad. Like we are still human. When you're in this awakening, we're all going through it together.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we all have to remember. That's why I loved your post. Can we all just admit that we're human? Because so many of us want to say we're beyond the human and we want to drop our human exterior.
Right?
No, we're supposed to be human. Why would we incarnate as humans if we weren't supposed to experience a human life?
Right.
What would the whole
Well,
point be?
there's an added power to being this ultimate within the confines of this, you know? It's like a whole magical system all its own.
Exactly. If you look at the myth of the angels, like if you look at that myth from the outside in a broad sense, I'm not an expert by any means, but weren't they jealous of man because man got to experience this body, this lifetime, these emotions, the love of God in a different type of way?
Right.
Why would that be written in that way if it wasn't an incredible honor to be incarnated as a human?
Yep.
We may not understand it because it's, oh my God, I just got chills. I'm sorry. We may not understand it because it's above our pay grade. Like our human minds can't really comprehend the bigger picture, you know. God in and of itself is a man's trying to understand a plurality of a higher power. It's a singular interpretation of a multiple, of a plurality. And so it's very hard to interpret that sort of a thing, right? And over the years, there have been so many religions that have tried to do that. That stuff is way above my pay grade. What I do know and what I do believe and what they tell me is that this human body that we've been given is the perfect broadcaster of energy, of waves. It's the perfect amplifier for love, for unconditional love. And that here we are able to use that to broadcast that unconditional love, to make some sort of a shift in energy, some sort of a change in I don't know, on this planet. And us, this awakening, having so many people that are now doing this, so many more than when I was growing up, than when you were growing up. I mean, and the children that are being born now are so much closer to that tipping point. They understand it so much faster. They don't have to go through so much BS like we had to go through, so much discovery. So much of them are being born so much closer to that edge of understanding it and getting that energy that it's huge. Like something big is coming, something huge is happening, and there's going to be more of us on this side that are going to be able to make that happen. What actually happens, that's way above my pay grade. All I know is I'm supposed to trudge along and talk about unconditional love and get as many people to understand that energy and embrace it and try to embody it in their everyday lives towards others and towards themselves as possible, because that's the magic. Like that is what makes everything else amplify. That's what's going to connect you in the most direct way, not only to your own divinity, to your own higher self, but to the collective, because we are all connected to the collective. And the way to feel not alone is to clean off that yucky stuff. When you do, you're going to feel that collective. I've had moments where I felt incredibly weak, and I had a moment back in January, and I talked about this on the show. I was going through some personal stuff, and I stepped out of the room, and I was in a hotel, and I walked down the hallway, and I said, look, I need some backup here. I am feeling alone. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling like I'm going to lose it. I need some backup. And I did a couple of deep breaths, and I always picture it like a bumper car. Like you have that pole that goes up, and then the wire. So like the wire is like the collective, and the pole is like that bar in your chakra, you know, that's like your energy. So it goes up and it connects to the collective, and I like got this charge, And I felt like I was walking down that hallway like Neo in the Matrix at the end, and the whole
Right.
hallway was bowing out. And I had this golden dress like Beyonce, and I'm bowing out the
Nice.
hallway and walking down it. Like I was like a superhero coming back into that room with the energy of love and just feeling this energy of the collective. And I was like, I felt every single person that has ever supported me.
Right.
And when you can like clean off that stuff, you have access to that love
Right.
anytime you need it.
Right.
Anytime you need it, you can close your eyes and feel that unconditional love. And that is what cleaning off, doing that hard work, that's the reward for it.
Yep.
That's the reward for it. And everything, it's not just the flow. It's not just that stuff happens for you. It's not just that maybe money is going to come easier. You're going to get a parking spot.
Right.
You're going to meet people. It's being able to connect with that unconditional love anytime you need it. And that's a feeling that's better than any drug I've ever done. Let me tell
Right.
you.
Yep. Yep. That is for sure. There's nothing quite like it.
Mm-hmm.
You connect to that energy and that, yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's way, way awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so I had a question and I can't remember now. It totally left my brain.
Because I run my mouth so much.
No, but it's been an awesome conversation and I've been loving it. So, but I did have a question I wanted to ask and I'm trying to remember now what it was. You know what? If it's meant to be, it'll come back.
There you go.
But no, so you have two little books, right? Is that what you were saying?
I have two little books. Yes, the first one was called Unleash Your Light,
Okay.
and I wrote it on a download, literally in like 2 or 3 days. And then they said, okay, now go buy a Bible, which I didn't even own a Bible.
Right.
I went and bought a Bible. They told me where to go to put in some quotes. They told me where to go to find like Buddha quotes. I put in Buddha quotes. I put in some Martin Luther King quotes to support those things.
Right.
So when you read it, it does have a lot of Bible quotes, but it's not because it's Christian. It's because it's wisdom. Ancient
Right.
texts hold wisdom.
Yes.
It's not because it's a denominational, this is all about God. I use the word God because at the time, I didn't know what else to call it.
Right.
I call it light personally, but everybody's got a different name. You can call it Fred if you want. The light of the universe doesn't care what you call it as long as you're seeking it.
Right.
Does not care. And as soon as you start seeking, you found it. All you have to do is say, hey, I'm looking for you. And it's like, oh, I'm here. I'm ready. Let's go. You know, it wants to dance as soon as you ask. So,
Yep, that's
and then the second one I just finished like 2 months ago, and that one's all about loving yourself unconditionally. And basically it just talks about, we go through a lot of the different emotions that will keep you blocked from that, like depression and jealousy and anger and sadness and things like that, that can keep you from loving yourself unconditionally, those blockages that you can kind of like see how those vines grow up into your life, and you go, oh, okay, now I see where that root might be. I can trace that back and see how it's affecting me today, because a jealousy root will grow up into something that doesn't look like jealousy.
right.
You know, a depression root will grow up and not look like depression when it grows up. It'll grow up, it might grow into depression over here, but over here it's going to be anger.
Right.
And over there it's going to be rage. And over here it's going to be something different.
Yep.
So it kind of like goes into all these different little nooks and crannies. And like I said, it's only like 45 pages long. And I don't write in paragraphs. So the way that I write is in sentences. And if it's an important sentence, that's the only thing on the line.
Nice.
Because I'm dictating, like I'm being dictated to.
Right.
You know, like I write what they're telling me to write. So if it's an important sentence, I hit enter afterwards, and
Nice.
that's what it gets. So it's really simple. It's just like having a conversation with me. I don't write with big words and complicated stuff. I'm a simple girl. And you just, right at the top of the page, my website is unleashyourlight.org. And are you sensing a pattern? Unleash Your Light.
Yeah.
Unleash Your Light is my show. Unleash Your Light is the thing. So you just, right at the top, it says get my book for free. You can click there. Get my book for free. You can click there. I do have a link that allows you to get it get the first one in an e-reader form. That one's 99 cents. But if you want it for free, it's just in a PDF form, and you don't have to put in your email address. I don't make email lists. I do have a place where you can put it in, but I'm not doing anything with it right now. So I'm not collecting email addresses, so I'm going to send you a million things. I don't really do that yet. At some point in the future, maybe, but not yet. Not yet.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I got to remember to put your link in above the, and we will have it in there, everyone. When the show's over, we'll make sure that her
Yeah.
email, oh my gosh, email address, website is up there. All of a sudden, my brain like got a little cloudy there for a sec.
I have that effect on people. I don't know what it is. It's very strange. I used to bartend at this nudist resort, right?
Mhm.
And I would have these people that would come up to the counter and they would lean in, right? Because we had a big wide counter and they would
Right.
lean in and then I would lean in to hear what they were going to say because there's music going on. It's like a party place, you know?
Right.
And as soon as they would lean in to order, they would go, I completely forgot what I was going to say. And I would go, happens to people.
Yeah.
That makes people forget what they're talking about. It's seriously all the time. People would say, I completely forgot what I was going to say. I don't know what it is about me that people just
Yeah.
forget what they're going to say around me. I don't know. It's like I send out a blast of, I don't know. I think it's me. I don't know. But
You tend to
very
bring it
strange.
all already, you like come pre-ready. And so like when people think they have things to say, they look at you and they go, no, that's enough.
That's so funny. I have it. My friend Flynn, I'll be talking and talking and talking because I just run my mouth, talk, 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 and I'll look at him and I'll go, "Do you have any idea what I just said?" He's like, "No, I'm just watching your lips move."
Yeah. I'm just watching your
Really,
lips move.
really, Flynn, really. I've known him for 26 years now. Really, after 26 years, you're still just watching my lips move. That's very funny.
That is
Ridiculous.
fun.
So funny.
Oh, all righty. Well, do you have anything else that you would like to talk a little bit more about? I think I'm good. Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me. Well, tomorrow morning I'm on the Akashic Academy. I
Okay.
have a link on my page. I have lots of room for friends. You guys can come over and friend me if you want.
Good.
You could probably click up in the thing. It says Li Cara up there. I think I'm the only Li Cara on Facebook, to be
I think
honest
you
with
might
you.
be actually, yeah.
I think when you search me, I'm the only one you find. That's pretty amazing. There's like 2
That is
billion
pretty cool,
people on
right?
Facebook,
Awesome.
and I'm the only Li Cara on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that maybe that's why they had me change my name to Li Cara so many years
Maybe,
ago because
right?
I'm the only one there is. But so you can come over and friend me. I am a science fiction nerd. I love movies. I put lots of stupid jokes up there and music. I like heavy metal and weird stuff. So I put weird stuff on my personal page. But I have a group called Unleash Your Light. I have a page called Unleash Your Light. I'm on Tuesdays, I'm on Sology at 10 a.m. Eastern. Thursdays, I'm on the Akashic Academy. I also share those on my page and my group. And I also, after the Akashic Academy on Thursdays, they only have me on for half an hour, but I go on my personal page and I broadcast for at least another half an hour, sometimes a little longer, because obviously I run my mouth a little bit. Um, so I go on there and run my mouth. Oh, and I wanted to mention today what popped up in my feed. I do a show with Teresa LaPre
Right?
called Let's Get Real.
Mhm.
And we've been doing that for a year today. 1 year
Oh,
ago was our
awesome.
very first show together.
Well,
So the
congratulations,
podcast of our
ladies.
first show popped up. So
That's
we haven't been doing
awesome.
it recently because her computer went down. So we do the Be Live also, and it was starting to have so many problems with
Yeah.
hers, with her computer also. I think also if your computer's past a certain year, it's starting to have issues with
Yeah.
that.
And I think that's
So
pretty much what mine is it's an old one and yeah.
she's starting to have some problems with that. So we're going to try to do it. I said we might just do it guerrilla style. And the last time we went on, we did it just like this from
Yeah.
her personal page.
Yeah.
And even Facebook is now not wanting you or not encouraging you to broadcast in groups. So it's hard to even gather an audience in groups.
Yeah.
Be Live just sent out a thing saying, okay, now you can broadcast in a group, but
Yeah.
you won't have anybody's information.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you broadcast in a group, there won't be names of people. You can't bring up
Invite or
comments. You
anything.
can't
Yeah.
do any of that kind of
Right.
stuff. So, I mean, I had thought that Facebook was encouraging community involvement, but
Right.
now it's going to be very different.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with us broadcasting on Asology for our show, but maybe we'll just move it over to Teresa's page or my page. I don't know, but we love doing the show, and I love that woman
Oh,
so
yes.
much. We talk probably 2 or 3 times a week. Me and Mama Bear talk 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm super grateful. They're really the first female friends
Right?
I've had in a very long time. I don't know about you, but I find it difficult. I know you and Tammy have a really close friendship, but I usually find until my awakening, I found it very difficult to have female friendships
Yes. Yeah.
and to maintain them, probably due to mother issues that I have personally,
Yeah.
you know. But and so in this awakening, working through those things, and it took me a couple of years to get to a point where I had that kind of trust, you know.
Right.
And so another benefit of doing the hard work
Yeah.
and learning to love myself unconditionally and getting to that point, you know. And so now I've been so lucky to make these friendships with these
That's
people
awesome.
and people like you, and you know, and I feel so blessed to be in this community.
As
And
do I. I've been very,
I
yes,
mean,
very, very grateful.
it's incredible. And I love that you guys are ramping up, and everybody watching here, they have so many great shows coming up, and they're going to be on with Teresa in a couple of
Yep.
days, so that's
Yep.
exciting.
On Thursday, we're gonna have Teresa on. Yep.
Yes, tomorrow night, Thursday.
Is that tomorrow night? 18th or 22nd? No, Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday. I'm
Sunday.
sorry,
Okay.
I said Thursday. Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Sunday night, you're going to be on with Teresa.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure that I'm watching, that I'm sharing. Everybody who's watching, make sure that you are watching and that you are sharing.
Yes. Yes. And then yeah, I think we're gonna be doing. I think we're gonna have Angela Stray on. We're gonna have Ray Rhodes on. So yeah, it's starting to kind of build up. It's awesome. I'm very, very
I'm
excited.
glad to see you guys doing so many shows. I love that.
It's awesome.
I'm
It's been,
excited.
yes, it's been very exciting and very, and you know, like I said, I've also been making that move over there to MeWe. So it's been time occupying, but it's nice because there's like a whole different world over there on MeWe right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. And I tend to share all the stuff from Facebook over there, and so I, you know, kind of bringing them back and forth.
Well, I'm going to accept your invite and I will make a profile over there. And
Awesome,
Teresa was pushing me to do it also. So I will jump over there and we'll look at a brand new world, like
Yeah,
The Little Mermaid. It's a whole new
right?
world.
Whole new world. Just kidding.
Oh yeah, and I have original music on my page.
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute. I know there's not a lot of people on here, but I'm gonna put a call out. No, I'm not. Never mind. I'll do it privately. We'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait because no, I'll wait. I'll do it privately with you guys. Okay.
All right.
All right. But I have original music on my page that you guys can listen to. I made a couple of videos, but I also have a SoundCloud page. You can download the music for free. I don't have any charge on there. Everything on my page, you can just download for free. So it's, you know, all original stuff that I created on my phone. So,
And it's great,
so
guys. Whether it was on her phone or not, don't let her fool you. It's amazing
I
stuff.
just use a little app, and some of the older stuff on SoundCloud is all a cappella with just a drum set. So
Nice.
it's like layered voices and that kind of stuff. So,
Awesome.
so that's other stuff you can find on my little website that I have there.
Awesome.
All right, and I'm gonna stop running my mouth because I keep taking up all of your
That's
time.
okay. You know, I still have a few minutes here, right? It's not dark just yet. Just kidding.
Oh, believe me, I would run my mouth until dark. It's hard to, literally the other night, Crystal and I were on the phone and her head starts to do this.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, are you falling asleep, honey? Are the dulcet tones of my voice putting you to sleep? And she's just like passing out, you know?
Oh, that's
It's so funny.
Oh, yeah. So everyone check her out. Go over to unleashyourlight.org. I think, yep, Erin put the site in there for you.
Thank you so much.
Read the books. Check out some of her music. I know she's an amazing singer. So, and I'm pretty confident you can put some music together too. I don't know if I've heard any of that yet, but I've got confidence.
Oh yeah, I love to write songs. I love to collaborate. If anybody's out there wants to collaborate on a song,
Awesome.
I am very happy to do that sort of stuff. Crystal's begging for a song, but
Yay.
I'll sing to you privately, sweetheart.
All righty. Well, thank you for coming tonight and having this. Oh, I appreciate it. I'm sorry that we couldn't do the Fancy Bee Live, but
No
I need a
problem.
new computer.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so glad I got to see your mouth moving, talking to me in person. This
Right?
is beautiful.
Yes.
Oh,
And you'll have to do
Christine.
it
I
again.
have known Christine since I was in 8th grade. Hello,
Oh,
Christine. Mwah.
well,
I love
thank you for
you.
being here.
You caught the last 2 minutes of the show.
Yes. please watch back. She's got a lot of great, beautiful information. Go to her website, check out her stuff there. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have Lee back on at some point in time. So
That
hopefully,
would be awesome. I would
stay
love that.
tuned. All right. Thank you, Lee, so much. I
Thank
appreciate you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.